O come, Emmanuel, and ransom captive Israel. Hello, and welcome to a first of a series of reflections for Advent here from St Mary's Church at Pennard. Each week throughout the Advent season, we'll stop for 5 or 10 minutes during the busyness of the week to reflect on what the season of Advent, the preparation for Christmas, both here in the church and out there in the big wide world, of which the church plays such a significant role at this time of year. Advent Sunday was last Sunday, and we lit the first of our Advent candles on the Advent ring as part of that preparation, as part of that marking down of the weeks to come before Christmas Day itself. Christmas is all around us at this time. It's in our shops, it's in our advertising, it's in our very DNA, both as a church and as a society. Today, we'll be hosting a carol service here at St Mary's for the Pennard Men's Society. So the vicar's got his Christmas jumper and his Christmas socks on, and people will come to the church today and socially distanced, behind masks, will sing carols and hear the words of the Christmas story once more. You might think, well, it's a little bit early for singing carols, yet Radio 2 have started playing them, and of course the world does not think otherwise. If we don't do it now, then where are we going to fit it in the busyness of Christmas? And I think this is the reasoning behind the Men's Society as they come to us today to share in the joy of Christmas. It's their preparation for so many of them too. So the vicar is wearing his Christmas jumper, the vicar is wearing his Christmas socks, the candle is lit. So let's pause for a moment and think about what our preparations for Christmas look like at this time. There's an old song, isn't there? He's making a list, he's checking it twice. He's going to find out who's naughty or nice. In our house, there is a great tradition of the list, the great Christmas list of what is need to be bought, what is need to be cooked, when it needs to all to be done. And Andrea, my wife, has a real knack of doing that. And that skill is passed on to my daughter Amy as well. You'll see lists in her house too. Mary Berry cookbook will come out. Delia Smith cookbook will come out. Recipes will be poured over. The hairy bikers will be in force as well. It's all part of the preparation. Amidst all that, we need to stop, pause, reflect and think. This Christ child that we will welcome into the world on the 25th of December with great feasting and celebration, it didn't just start there. The first candle that we lit was for the patriarchs, the people of old, the men of great faith in the Old Testament, who proclaimed their relationship with God, a new relationship, all based on the coming Messiah, when God would come to his people. That is what we still prepare for today, a time when God comes to his people again. This coming of Jesus, this coming of the Christ, was so important that most of the Bible is taken up with it. Indeed, the story of Jesus and the letters written by Paul and others telling the story of early Christianity forms only a small part of our scriptures. The Old Testament is the story of creation. It's about God's relationship with his people, and it's about the foretelling of the coming King. This is our time at Advent to think about the King who is to come. When I worked in retailing many years ago, our Christmas would start in August. We'd start to get the decorations in, we'd start to get the food in, we'd start to get all the presents into the shops, and the displays would be thought out, and gradually it would be increased, and the Christmas music would be played, and by the 24th of December, a wombling Merry Christmas was not the song you wanted to hear again. But preparations can take so many different ways and styles. This morning, I'm going to read to you from this little book, A Celtic Advent, And the story for the 2nd of December speaks to us of the miraculous that early Christians thought were every day. And it concerns Saint Samson who trained with Illtyd at Llanford Major and then went on to do great things, missionary work in Cornwall. There was a particular day when things were not going his way. In fact, things were going rough for him. He'd gone to a village and the pagan idols there were paramount. The king and the people there were very anti him, and there was almost a riot. In fact, one lad drove his chariot through the crowd, fell off, and lay as if dead. Samson said, "If I can bring this lad back to life, will you destroy your pagan idol and follow Christianity?" The king rather reluctantly muttered yes. Samson went and prayed over the young man, and he was healed. The idol was destroyed, and Christianity began to flourish on the peninsula of Cornwall. These are all parts of the stories of the tales of the saints, and yet there is a truth behind them all, that here was someone, Samson, who had great faith in the power of God, great faith in the Christ the King, great faith enough to go and tell it to people who might otherwise not want to hear the story. So let's think about that for a moment and hear a reading from our scriptures. From Paul's letter to the Romans. If the spirit of him who raised Jesus from the dead dwells in you, he who raised Christ from the dead will give life to your mortal bodies, also through his Spirit that dwells in you. Something to reflect upon today. If Christ rose from the dead and dwells within you with his power, what does this mean to you? How can living in this knowledge affect the way in which you live your life this day? How does knowing that he who raised Christ from the dead will give life to your and mine mortal body, how will this knowledge of a God who loves us and accepts us and knows us affect the way we live our lives this day? Samson did great things. What will we do to reflect this greatness of God in our daily preparation for Christmas this year? May the Lord bless us and keep us always. Amen. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel, O captive and ransom Israel.